Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jay, and these are...
The supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Jack.
Katie Cat.
That happened. Anyway, we're your hosts in the strange, the unexplained, the paranormal, true crime, etc. If you like that kind of thing, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe down below and leave us your comments on how wonderful we are. Thank you. Anyway, this is our second part of our Dean Corll series, The Real Candyman Killer. I know we've done a lot of Candyman killers because that was kind of a trend, and sadly enough, without planning this,
Oh, man.
Tony Todd, the great and frightening Tony Todd, has left this realm to haunt our dreams as we watch reruns of the Candyman.
I told you we should have done that should have been the last one. The last of the Candyman series.
Well, I know, but still, we didn't know any way to do. We didn't time that out. I didn't have a crystal ball that was
We didn't know
charged.
he was going to pass away, so.
Yeah, so big bummer, but
R.I.P..
in memorial of Tony Todd, great actor, awesome guy. I highly suggest going and watching the Candyman series if you haven't.
Was
That
also
does
in
not-
The Crow.
I still don't know what he played as in the
I don't
Crow.
either. It just showed up when I looked him
He's
up.
in
He was
a
in-
lot of movies, just as like, because he's a B actor.
I don't
like,
remember
very
what he
often.
played in that.
I think he was in Full Metal Jacket as well. Anyway,
Yeah.
so, but where we left off, though, from our storyline, we're talking about Dean Corll. His family had a candy shop. He left the military, was in the military, found out he was really into young men, really young men, and opened a candy shop across the street from a school. Got known for giving candy out to especially teenage boys, hence calling him the Candyman or the Pied Piper. Any one of those things are not the greatest thing to be called. And he was found dead. Once found dead, a couple of the youths that were with him were being talked to by the police. We have in my notes a Dean Henley and a David Brooks talking to the police about all the nefarious activities the trio had been up to until that point. And here we will continue on part 2. Shortly after, Brooks and Dean walked in, or that Brooks walked in on Dean Corll and 2 teenage boys that he had bound to his bed.
Forgot about that part.
Yeah, we're going to come off of this real hard and fast, guys. Dean bribed Brooks into silence. He bribed him with a car, and then he started offering him money to bring him more victims. So he had a little human trafficking ring, that, well, in a way, that he was starting. On December 1970, he lured and killed 14-year-old James Glass and Danny Yates. Those are the 2 boys that he had bound to his bed, doing unspeakable things to, because he was an insufferable piece of absolute human garbage. Wood chipper time. 6 weeks later, on January 30th in 1971, Brooks and Corll enticed Donald and Jerry Waldrop to get into Corll's van. They were assaulted, strangled, and then buried in the boat shed that we had talked about in the last episode. Then, in 1971, 15-year-old Randall Harvey, who was killed by gunshot, and then he was followed by Hillgeist and Winkle. Brooks himself had lured Haney to be strangled and buried in the boat shed. In September 1971, Dean Corll moved to an apartment on Columbia Street where they lured 2 more boys, one just before Henley started joining them. The last boy before Henley joined Brooks said was kept alive for 4 days. Both of these 2 remain John Does. Some crazy stuff with the John Does. We'll get to towards the end. In winter of all of this is crazy. What am I talking about? In winter of 1971, Henley joined up and may have been an intended victim, but apparently Corll thought instead he would make a good teammate. So Henley was introduced to him by Brooks, and instead of just doing the whole R&M, which is raping and murdering, he instead took him under his wing as a partner, I guess, in crime, because this is just disgusting and it gets worse. Oh, it gets worse.
Sorry. I like how you said graping, but you said murdering.
Graping and killing, yes.
You censored one word and
Murder's not covered by YouTube. Doesn't care about murder.
Oh,
They
really?
care about
Oh,
graping.
I
They
thought-
don't like graping, though.
I thought they didn't
Or
like that
sewer
word.
slide.
Or suicides, yes.
Well, yeah, suicide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, Dean had told Henley that he was involved in this hip new white slavery ring out of Dallas, and that he would pay him the same he offered Brooks, just 200 buckaroos per victim. So, hey, you help me, kid, and like get these people and grape them, and then torture and mutilate them and kill them, and I will give you $200. I mean, that sounds like a decent deal, right? I don't know
200 bucks?
what's $200 in today's money.
It's probably like, what year was this? 70s?
70.
70s. Probably pretty good took.
$500 now, maybe.
Man, making candy. There's some money in making candy. I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, you
I need to start. Not only was he doing this, but he was also distributing diabetes to people, folks. Just to keep that in mind, this guy was bad all the way around.
He was killing people slowly.
And then very quickly.
And then very quickly. And brutally.
Henley initially declined the offer for months. Apparently, he only joined in on the evil scheme when his family fell into hard times. What a Robin Hood that guy is. What a real saint. Well, normally I would say, I'm not going to help you kidnap and murder and grape people, but Mom couldn't afford her Marlboros today, so here's my buddy Timmy.
Well, as of 2018, $200 in 1970 would have been $1,295 now.
Oh.
I feel like people are worth more than that per capita.
Yeah.
No,
That's
is
still
that
not
priced
that much.
by inflation or?
Yeah, it's basically with
$1,000
inflation.
nowadays is like.
Well, it's 2018, so it's
No.
actually probably worth more now.
Yeah,
with
it's probably
inflation
like-
stuff.
What was Wayfair getting for those furniture pieces?
Probably a lot.
$15,000 cabinet. Yeah, okay.
Weird, because I
Named
ordered.
Tiffany.
I ordered quite a few things from Wayfair.
Oh my God.
So,
Do we need to ask questions? Do we do a background check?
Oh, we should have done that.
there was nothing weird about it. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. Oh, okay. Sure. There's nothing weird. Epstein.
No, it's okay.
Katie Epstein, whatever. Anyway.
I ordered a bed and a vanity. Wasn't anything crazy.
Anyway, so once his family fell in hard times, he finally decided to help, and he helped with picking up a boy on the corner of 11th and Steudwood, and with the offer of some pot to smoke. While at Corl's home, Henley cuffed himself with his hands behind his back, then used a hidden key. He uncuffed himself and convinced the kid to cuff himself the same way. Then Corl bound and gagged the kid. At this point, Henley says he left, believing the kid would be sold into sexual slavery and nothing more.
Whew. Thank God he thought he would only be sent into a horrific nightmare known as sexual slavery instead of just being tortured and murdered outright.
I know. The identity of this poor kid remains unknown. Now, that said, that does remind me of that Andrew Schultz joke. If you're talking about slavery, this is the kind you want to get. Like, give me the island, no cotton, no cotton. That was the punchline from Andrew Schultz. Not my joke, don't be offended. Anyway, still funny. Not if you're a victim. Not funny then.
Yeah, no.
It's only funny because it didn't happen to me, comes to mind. So a month after that, March 24th of 1972, Henley joined both Brooks and Corl as they saw Frank Aguirre on his walk home from work. They offered him a ride and invited him to smoke some reefer with them, the devil's lettuce, electric lettuce, and the devil's cabbage. And then back at the house, he picked up a pair of handcuffs that he'd been left on the table. So Frank's sitting there, he's like, hey, what's these handcuffs for? And at that point, Corl just jumps on him.
Did you say electric lettuce?
Electric?
Yeah.
I have never heard that saying.
What does that mean?
That-
Never heard the term electric lettuce?
No.
Oh,
The
Devil's
devil's
cabbage?
lettuce.
Devil's cabbage, yes.
Devil's lettuce.
Never
not
heard
cabbage.
electric lettuce?
I've heard that one's just one I've never heard before.
That must be a 70s thing.
I wasn't alive in the 70s. We're talking about the 70s. Besides, I think lysergic acid diethylamide was probably the main thing there. Anyway, I probably said that middle one wrong. I always get that middle one wrong. Anyway, so, yeah. Henley claimed that he didn't want Aguirre to be a victim and asked for him to be released. Apparently, he pled with Dean Corll and said, hey, please, Aguirre's my friend. I just wanted to hang out and smoke pot with the dude. Please don't kill him. But Corll refused. And then, telling Henley that he had bound, tortured, graped, and killed the previous boy, he was going to do the same to Aguirre. So Henley decided at that point to help him bury his body on High Island Beach. Well, when you put it that way,
What,
let me get a shovel. Like, what the fuck?
What is it like? Oh my God! Like the fucking reasoning that people have is so weird to me. And then, like they're like, listen, I just didn't want this one to go to sex trafficking. So you thought it was good that he was tortured, raped, and the other one was tortured, raped, and murdered.
No.
That was.
Things only got worse from
Thank you,
there.
help.
I won't go into all the details about every killing, but in the end, Corll killed at least 28 people, probably more. No joke.
Wow.
On the
He was
evening,
very prolific.
28.
so here's some info about the people. On the evening of August 7th, 1973, Henley invited 20-year-old Timothy Corlly, the oldest of his victims, to attend a party that we know of, a party at Corl's Pasadena residence. Curley, a casual acquaintance of Corl, who was intended to be his next victim, accepted the offer. Brooks was not present at the time. The two youths arrived at Corl's house, where they sniffed paint fumes and drank alcohol until midnight before leaving the house, promising to return shortly.
Up in paint.
Yeah, Henley and Curley then drove back to Houston Heights, and Curley parked his vehicle close to Henley's home. The two exited the vehicle, and Henley, hearing commotion across the street emanating from the home of his 15-year-old friend Rhonda Louise Williams, walked toward her home. Williams, nursing a sprained ankle, had been beaten by her drunken father that evening, and accepted Henley's invitation to join him and Curley at Corl's home. Williams climbed into the back seat of Curley's Volkswagen. The trio then drove toward Corl's Pasadena residence. So this is actually what's
Always in
leading up.
Pasadena.
Yeah,
It's always in Southern California.
So
Always
a
in Pasadena,
weird
SoCal.
place,
SoCal's got
bro.
some crazy shit.
Yeah, it's a weird place, weird people,
Yeah.
folks.
Very
Shit.
weird people.
So this is not the list of all the victims and what the rundown was. This is actually the lead up to what actually led up to the night where Corl was found dead.
Did.
Indeed.
At approximately 3 o'clock in the morning of August 8th, Henley and Corl, accompanied by Williams, returned to Corl's residence. Corl was furious that Henley had brought a girl to his house, telling him in private that he had ruined everything.
Ooh.
Henley explained that Williams had argued with her father that evening and did not wish to return home. Corl appeared to calm down and offered the trio beer and marijuana.
Marijuana.
The three teenagers began drinking and smoking marijuana. I don't know why I did that. That was a weird voice. With Henley and Curley also sniffing paint fumes,
Naturally.
as one does, as Corl watched them intently. After approximately 2 hours, Henley, Curley, and Williams each passed out. The final confrontation.
So
What?
the sniffing paint fumes is like today's doing whippets.
Yeah, you're just burning brain cells for no reason.
You know, like the whipped cream can, nitrous oxide, whatever.
Yeah, it's huffing.
Yeah, it's the
aerosol
same
fumes,
thing, pretty
poisonous,
much.
noxious fumes and gases.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't suggest doing that.
No.
It will actually eat holes in your brain.
I've never done it, but I don't want to.
Also, don't eat paint chips,
Yes.
especially on an
Don't
older
have
house.
paint. Don't eat paint chips.
No.
Elmer's glue is fine.
Don't
No.
have glue.
No, to eat. It's made of flour and water.
It wouldn't taste good
Just
though.
paste.
The paste, yeah. Elmer's glue all. It just says you can eat it on the bottle.
That's
It
weird.
doesn't say. Don't
Probably
eat
don't.
It does
Elmer's
not.
glue.
You liar.
That's not.
I'm gonna call Macaulay and tell him you guys are fucking
No,
nuts.
but-
Yeah, whatever.
Henley awoke to find himself lying on his stomach and Corl snapping handcuffs onto his wrists. His mouth had been taped shut and his ankles had been bound together. It's definitely not going to be a good time in that household.
It's a whole different ball game.
When's the last time that happened to you, Katie Cat?
What?
Moving on. Curley and Williams lay beside Henley, securely bound with nylon rope, gagged with adhesive tape, laying face down on the floor, and Curley had been stripped naked. Not a good situation at all in that household. Noting Henley, it's like being at that weird uncle's house, literally. Noting Henley had woken up, Corl removed the gag from his mouth. Henley protested in vain against Corl's actions, whereupon Corl reiterated that he was angry with Henley for bringing a girl to his house and that he intended to kill all three of them after he had assaulted and tortured Curley, initially saying, "Man, you blew it bringing that girl," before shouting, "I'm going to kill you all, but first I'm going to have my fun." Not a good thing to hear from that guy. He then repeatedly kicked Williams in the chest before placing a transistor radio between her and Curley and turning the volume to maximum.
Can I just say, how fucking bad has her day been? She went from like getting beaten by her dad to that. Like this is not like she is not
this
having the best
poor
like
girl.
couple days. Is
Fun
she?
fact, Frank Aguirre was her boyfriend, and she has no idea these people killed him
Oh,
at this time. So, Frank Aguirre, the one we talked about before.
yeah, the
the
other one
story.
they killed just before this.
This girl is Frank Aguirre's girlfriend.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
wow.
At least allegedly she didn't know anything about it. Allegedly. Anyway, before placing a transistor between her and Curley and turning the volume to maximum, Corl then lifted Henley to his feet and dragged him into his kitchen and placed a 22 caliber pistol against his stomach, threatening to shoot him. Henley calmed Coral, promising to participate in the torture and murder of both Williams and Corlly if Coral released him. Let me go, murderer man. I will help you in the raping and murder of my friends if you just let me go. You know what? That sounds like a good idea. Let's spring him, brain. Anyway, this guy and these people, all of these people are degenerate pieces of human garbage.
Yes.
Most of them are dead, thankfully, and soon to be followed, I'm sure, by the others. No spoilers.
And they can't blame like, oh, they were drunk and they were high on whatever.
No, these people were involved.
No.
Maybe not the girl. We don't think so. Allegedly.
That's some evil stuff.
After approximately 30 minutes of discussion, Coral agreed and untied Henley, then carried Corlly and Williams into his bedroom and tied them to opposite sides of his torture board. Corlly on his stomach, Williams on her back. He then removed the adhesive tape from Corley's mouth before informing him of his intentions to look up his anus. As Henley, he said, "Look up my anus," is what he told this guy. Again, as Henley began inhaling paint fumes from a paper bag.
What?
What a winner. Coral then handed Henley a hunting knife and ordered him to cut away Williams' clothes, insisting that while he would grape and kill Corlly, Henley would do likewise to Williams. Henley began cutting away Williams' clothes as Coral undressed and began to assault and torture Corlly. Both Corlly and Williams had awakened by this point. Corlly began writhing and shouting as Williams, whose gag Henley had removed, lifted her head and asked Henley, "Is this for real?" To which Henley answered yes. Williams then asked Henley, "Are you going to do anything about it?" Bro, this is a thing that really happened. Just a reminder, folks.
This is a hard read.
This happened.
This is what I was telling you when I said I was not going to fucking watch that video again, because they were very detailed about everything that happened. I was like, I'm not watching it.
I'm not putting all the detail in it either.
Yeah, no.
I'm putting in the more mild shit.
Yeah, we don't.
This is
need
bad enough for us to be like, we're not reading.
If
this
I
whole
edit
goddamn
something
thing.
out for you guys, it's because it got a lot worse.
It's disgusting.
The
Like,
stuff that I read was worse.
imagining the people that had to sit in the trial and view all of this and hear all of this and go through all of this is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. So Henley then asked Coral whether he might take Williams into another room, and Coral ignored him, and Henley then grabbed Coral's pistol, shouting, "You've gone far enough, Dean!" Just like in the TV shows and the talkies. And Coral clambered on off Corlly. Henley elaborated, "I can't go on any longer. I can't have you kill all my friends." Coral approached Henley, saying, "Kill me, Wayne." Henley stepped back a few paces as Coral continued to advance upon him, shouting, "You won't do it." Henley then fired at Coral, hitting him in the forehead. So, wrong. You were incorrect, sir. You know those horror movies when you just keep telling the victim, "Just shoot the motherfucker"? Well, this guy took the advice before any of us said it.
Just shoot him.
He just did it way late. It was only after he had grown accustomed to helping kill and rape people and torture them and cut pieces off of them, etc.
In the defense of
And bite
Henley,
wieners. I want to remind
when
you, these people bit wieners.
you know, you got to go back to what happened with
Bit
Henley
wieners?
was that it's the age of saying when you get him while young. You know, he didn't have a dad. He was a young kid when this all started, and he wasn't old when this started. He didn't have a dad. He moved to like his mom. Wasn't he like he was like a teenager, like a young teenager?
He was an older teenager.
Was he an older teenager?
Yeah.
Son?
On the
But
cusp of manhood.
he essentially got dragged into this, and then I think the first few times it was all like basically he was gonna be a victim
Bro,
if he didn't do things.
Yeah, listen though, I at the age of 16 at least, which I can't. I think that's the age he started, maybe 17. I knew better than to do shit like this. So
Yeah.
and I'm dumb. So.
But I'm saying this is the
fucking-
70s before like
Oh yeah,
before
that
human
changes
brains
things.
developed past the ape stage. You know, like we were still in that ape era. You know what I mean? Like there was no
People still
intelligence
had a
there.
con-
Have you looked at
conscience.
social media today?
People were really stupid back then.
Anyway, Henley stepped back a few paces as Coral continued to advance on him, shouting, "You won't do it," and he fired, shot him in the forehead. The bullet failed to fully penetrate Coral's skull, so he's
Well, it
in
was
that
a 22.
Wolverine dome.
It was a 22.
And then he continued to lurch. Yeah, but still, that would knock
It
you
hit his
fucking
skin
out.
and didn't go in.
Yeah, it would still crack your skull. And,
Well, how high that guy had
Oh,
to
yeah.
have been, though.
oh yeah, it would still his brain's gonna get shut
Fucking
up.
baked.
So
Anyway.
what happened? It bounced off his head.
Well,
just-
no, it's
probably
stuck
just
there probably.
there.
Or probably busted up into a bunch of pieces. He then continued to lurch towards Henley, whereupon the youth fired another 2 rounds, hitting Coral in the left shoulder. Coral then ran out of the room, hitting the wall of the hallway. Henley then fired 3 additional bullets into his lower back and shoulder as Coral slid down the wall in the hallway outside the room where the 2 other teenagers were bound. Coral died where he fell, his naked body facing the wall. Henley would recall that immediately after he shot Coral, the only thought in his mind was that Coral would have been proud of the way he had behaved during the confrontation, and that Coral had been training him to react quickly and forcefully. This is exactly what he had done. You played yourself.
You invented your own death.
You ensured that you died. It actually is befitting.
Oh, look at that.
There's his naked
That's
dead
a
guy
happy.
body.
That's a happy dead.
His
son.
naked dead guy body. I can't
Yeah.
show
Yeah,
you
we
guys,
can't show that.
unfortunately, but we do have a picture of his naked deadness.
That's pretty
It's unimpressive. The guy skipped leg day. He didn't do the butt work at all.
He has a tan though.
That's
Wow.
why he was going after young
He has a
boys. He
tan
didn't have the
line.
booty for real men.
And he's dead.
Wow.
He couldn't get an adult gay guy
That's
because they have
fucked
better.
up.
Look at this guy's calves. Come on. There's not a self-respecting gay guy on the planet going
It
for
was
those
also
chicken
the
legs.
70s.
Anyway,
All guys look like that in the 70s.
You should have gone for a jog or
just,
two.
just let me give the gay guys credit for having better taste than pedos, okay?
Yeah, like
Please, I'm complimenting these dudes.
guys be shit. We're insulting the piece of
Nobody
shit.
knew
Hey,
about-
cat.
Nobody knew about leg day in the 70s.
That is not true.
Like,
Oh, no,
it's
wait.
universal.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, never mind.
My dad and his brothers were both big into weightlifting in the 70s. And they all had big legs. There's a reason I got thick legs, yeah.
No, that's true because they used to wear those tiny short shorts and they'd run
Yes.
around and play basketball in those little short shorts.
Calm down, Katie Cat. The body
We
of
need to
Dean...
bring those back. Anyway.
Folks, you know what I want for Christmas. Just send it to me. The body...
Anyway.
The body of Dean Coral was discovered at 2020 Lamar Drive after Henley had shot Coral. He and Curly began weeping as Curly repeatedly thanked them for saving his life. Henley then released Curly and Williams from the torture board, and all 3 teenagers addressed and discussed what actions they should take. Henley suggested that Curly and Williams that they should simply just leave, to which Curly replied, "No, we should call the police." Yes. Henley agreed and looked at the phone number for the Pasadena Police Department. Yeah, 911 wasn't a real thing then, guys, so the whole "what's the number for 911" joke doesn't apply. It really wasn't big until the 80s and 90s, yeah.
There was no 911?
What year did 911 become a
Oh.
thing? It was like 80-something?
Oh, it was like a local number that you'd call?
Well, just the police
A call.
department. You would have...
Oh, police department.
But those quick dial numbers. I mean, you still had rotary phones back then.
So what?
It was all rotary phones back then.
Well, yeah, it was landlines.
No, a rotary phone isn't...
Oh, rotor. Oh, yeah, there was no button.
No,
phones.
it's a dial.
That was an 80s thing, the buttons.
Yeah.
68.
68. Okay, so
So that would have been
maybe
2
they
years.
just didn't
It's
have
probably
it.
not normal for them.
Maybe they just
probably.
didn't have it in Pasadena. They hadn't caught
Oh,
on
but not normal.
in the
Come
cave,
on,
the
Pasadena.
cave land of
Oh,
Pasadena.
the first call was in 68 in Haleyville, Alabama.
Oh, that's why it was
That's
in
a big
that.
city,
It was in a
though.
different part of the country probably before it got here.
I think even back then, Pasadena was a pretty big
Yes.
city.
Well, it was L.A. City.
Yeah.
So anyway, in the end, both Henley and Brooks got life in prison. Except I spelled Prosian in my notes for some reason. Henley is still serving his time, while Brooks died in 2020 from coup complications. The following victims were Jeffrey Allen Conan, 18, James Eugene Glass, 14, Danny Yates, 14, Donald Wayne Waldrop, 15, Jerry Lynn Waldrop, 13, Randall Lee Harvey, 15, David Hillgeist, 13, Gregory Malley Winkle, 16, Reuben Wilford Watson Haney, 17, Jesus Craney, Frank Aguirre, 18, Mark Scott, 17, Johnny Ray Delhomme, 16, Billy Jean Bulk Jr., 17, Stephen Kent Sickman, 17, Roy Eugene Bunton, 17, Wally J. Simoneau, 14, Richard Edward Hembry, 13, William Carmen Branch Jr., 18, Richard Allen Kepner, 19, Joseph Allen Lyle, 17, William Ray Lawrence, 15, Raymond Stanley Blackburn, 20, Homer Luis Garcia, 15, John Manning Sellers, 17, Michael Anthony Bolch, 15, Marty Roy Jones, 18, Charles Carey Coble, 17. James Stanton Drimala, 13. An unidentified victim,
Wow.
2 unidentified victims. One is thought to be John Harmon, who was 15, and the other they think one of them is either John Harmon. There also could be a Robert Bobby French. There are also possibly additional victims. 42 boys had vanished from that area between 70 and 73. But after the police found the 26th and 27th bodies tied up together, they terminated the search on High Island Beach. Though there were 2 extra bones found with the last 2 bodies that could not be accounted for.
So they were between the ages of 13 and 20, all of them.
Yes. That we know of.
Wow. That's
And the police just after
horrible.
the 27th, the cops are like, oh yeah, we're done here. Well, that's all we're going to find.
Yeah, what's with that? What?
Well, what else are you going to do at that point? The guy's dead.
Well, yeah, he's
It's-
not going to keep killing.
You're not going to
He's
find
dead,
out who
yeah.
they were unless you really have to investigate. And we're talking about Pasadena here. I don't know if you know anything about LAPD, but they don't
This
have
kind
the
of
greatest
reminds me of the
track
Dahmer,
record.
the Dahmer thing,
Mhm.
a little bit, because he went after young boys.
A lot of these guys do. I mean, that's the go-to is weak, softer people. Serial killers don't go after the stronger members of society because then you would have
No,
a chance
because
of
they
failure.
would lose.
There's a reason they jump up on people instead of just try to confront them directly. This is why the original Night Stalker would go after the few married couples he went after. He made sure it was while they were in bed, and the first thing he did was shoot the husband in his sleep.
This guy was.
Richard Ramirez?
No, the original Night
Oh.
Stalker.
This guy right here was. I'm gonna be honest. It was hard to do this, but to watch that video. Because you really don't know how evil this motherfucker was.
No, and I did not give, guys, if you think I gave graphic details, you missed out a lot because I left a lot out. Because some of the stuff I don't know if YouTube would even let me discuss directly without giving an adult sticker content slap on it.
To be honest, Richard Ramirez was nothing to this.
No.
No one.
No.
There is no one in history that I could think of that even taps into this guy's evil.
No, even Dahmer made sure they were either high or dead.
I do not like
That's
to
true,
use the
yeah.
word evil, but this guy is the definition of evil.
Okay, maybe Gacy, but
I don't think no. Gacy didn't tap. Like I just mean by not just
Gacy went
not
after
by-
even younger kids.
not
dude.
just by the evil that they performed. He was evil in those same ways
like Jack the
and
Ripper?
worse. But I mean, the
No,
amount
I
of
think
bodies
that's
he
stickers.
has, and the fact that they still do not know
Still do
how many
horrible
bodies he
killings.
has.
Well, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
They don't know.
There's
the
a local
limit.
serial killer. They don't know how many people actually killed either.
Yeah, they don't know where he started.
The-
They know where he ended.
The amount of unsolved
Well, they know where he
cases
ended,
there are is crazy. Cold cases.
I mean,
there, yeah.
even
In his areas.
Even Dahmer, I don't think went after Did he go after underage boys?
a couple like
couple, but it was
back then
mostly
the age
guys
of
at
consent was
clubs.
questionable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was like 16.
It
I think
was
we
like-
said, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He
He would go to
so
like
15 or
bars
16.
and stuff.
he would find them at gay
Yeah.
discos, yeah, and shit like that.
So this is like bad.
Him and Gacy were fucking
This
monsters.
is horrible.
So
They're all monsters. but
Mark
yeah.
Scott's body was never actually recovered, and Joseph Lyle's remains were only found in 1983 by random chance. There just happened to be a storm or something that washed up the beach where he was at or something, so they randomly found his remains. Otherwise, they never would have found him because the cops just stopped looking. To make matters worse, there was a Hurricane Ike submerged the beach where he'd been buried the bodies at, and former Coral Candy Company employees said that Dean did a lot of digging leading up to 1968 while his mother's second marriage was falling apart. Sounds like that's where he started to really be a problem. He claimed that he claimed to have been burying loads of bad candy everywhere, and he would do odd things like save lengths of discarded rope. That he, the thought is that he was killing people much earlier than 1970
Oh yeah, definitely.
and discarding their remains in parking lots where the candy company might have been, and at the beaches. Yeah, there was a parking lot that had been done, and he was burying candy in the parking lots under where the parking lot was getting put down.
yeah.
There was also a photo found in by Henley's family. So Henley is still in prison. He still alive.
He's still alive.
In prison, yeah. After his incarceration, his family, among his personal effects, found a picture, and it showed a boy handcuffed to a device with it, like on the floor with a toolbox next to him. The boy is still unidentified. Henley claims to have zero recollection at all of who it was or what even happened to the kid.
Wow.
So there's a photo of a totally unknown kid out there who's definitely dead for sure.
That's sad.
And it still gets worse. During a routine investigation in February 1975, the HPD discovered a large cache of pornographic pictures and films depicting boys as young as 8. most of whom were from the Heights, that area. Of the 16 individuals depicted within the films and photos, 11 of the individuals appeared to be among Corll's known victims who had been identified by this date. Other individuals in the cache were underage at the time the images and films had been taken, but had reached the level of age of consent by the time the discoveries and their questioning by authorities, indicating the material had been accrued over many years. The discovery raised a disturbing possibility that the statements of Corll had given to both Henley and Brooks that he was associated with a Dallas-based organization which bought and sold boys may indeed have held a degree of truth. The discovery of the material in Houston in 1975 subsequently led to the arrest of 5 individuals in Santa Clara, California, including the owner of the warehouse where the cache had been stored, Roy Ames, a known producer of CP, whose name police had found on a card in Corll's wallet. No direct link in name police had found on a card in no direct link in these addressed to Corll has proven. As HPD, Jesus guys, I can't talk today, HPD declined to pursue any possible link to the killings, stating they felt Corll's victims' families had suffered enough, which is disgusting. Disgusting that you wouldn't follow through with that. That is a negligent move by law enforcement not to follow up on that. That is the unbecoming of your job, and it's pathetic. Failed. Failed job. Failed cop. Bad.
Let's face it.
Bad.
We know what happened here, right? People are gonna say, "Oh, they were lazy." No, they were worse than lazy. They were fucking cowards. What happened was they found something horrific. Like, we don't like looking at this stuff. We don't like talking about it. But imagine they have to actually investigate it. People are gonna get mad at me for saying that. But that is cowardice. You don't want to look for something because you don't want to know the truth any further.
Bro, LA, Pasadena, human trafficking, Diddy. Come on, guys, put it together. It doesn't take rocket science. There's been a human trafficking ring going on for a very long time. It's a very large human trafficking ring. There is something like 100 and some odd thousand missing children in the United States right now that they believe are directly related to human trafficking.
That.
It's disgusting.
It actually gets. They know there's a number right now that's from people when they cross the border. They have the information on that. 300,000 children have gone missing
that's what I was thinking.
In the last, year? 4 years?
4 years.
300,000 children are missing.
Throughout the country.
Don't know where they are.
Yeah. They can't make account for. And this is the thing that we go on. We hear about, the deep web and stuff and human trafficking there. We hear about the wafer stuff. We hear about, the Pizzagate, whatever. But there are real problems here, guys. And if you think those numbers are huge, just think of how many people there are in the population. And there's missing kids everywhere all the time. What we need to start doing with pedophiles is throwing them into wood chippers in public. That's what I would run on. So if anybody wants to elect me for office, that's what I'll go for.
And everybody have to
pay for them for the rest of
them to live,
or to get out and reoffend.
Yeah. Like it happens. But the thing that honestly, and in truth, human trafficking and pedophilia and if you can verify. You know what I mean? You have to verify it. You have to have 100% shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
It's a death penalty.
There's no excuse for them to be allowed to live. That's it. There's no.
And not a polite death penalty. I mean public hanging death penalty.
Well,
people get to watch.
Be careful. YouTube still is YouTube, and who knows who's in charge of that.
Not lethal injection, which is the easy way.
Yeah, you don't get the polite way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I go back to the chair.
The electric chair.
Iron Maiden.
Earl, these contacts just aren't quite clicking for the first time.
Iron freaking Maidens. Or the Iron Bull.
Or they get the
Iron Bull or Iron Maiden. One or the other.
Too much prep work.
Even getting your head chopped off is
too nice.
Is too nice.
Like I said, wood chipper.
It's too quick.
If you really want to end this stuff, one of the reasons. Well,
we're all getting worked.
I know this is about to get really morbid, but here's the thing. There's a reason in some countries they take your hand for stealing petty theft, because then it stops you from stealing at all. Because other people get ideas and they're
until you start seeing people with 2 hands and you realize it doesn't work. Anyway, so on August 15th in 1973, just 2 days after investigators had discovered the final bodies initially linked to the Houston mass murders, investigators, good Lord, in Dallas discovered a nationwide homosexual procurement ring operated by John David Norman. This police raid seized a card filing system containing up to 10,000 names of individuals across America ascribed to this network and the personal details of numerous teenage boys exploited by this sex trafficking ring. There is still no conclusive evidence to suggest that Corll had ever solicited any of his victims in this manner. not only because the HPD chose not to pursue this potentially possibility, but also because neither Brooks nor Henley ever mentioned having met any individuals from the organization Corlly had claimed to be involved with. In addition, neither mentioned having seen any of the victims either filmed, photographed, or released from the devices Corlly restrained his victims to until after their rape, torture, and murder. The arrest in Santa Clara do, however, suggest possible validity in Brooks' statements to police that Corlly had informed him that the earliest murder victims had been buried in California. Dude, this is the craziest stuff. This should have been followed up with by police. Maybe we would have had some more answers. How many kids go missing and they go, well, report it in 24 hours?
No.
We can't issue an Amber Alert for 24 hours. We can't do this for 24 hours.
Is that true?
Yes.
Even with kids?
Even with kids. Well, an Amber Alert is always kids. So
What?
An Amber Alert.
What about it?
That's right
Can't
away.
issue one for without 24 hours.
Yeah, it's so
What?
stupid.
Yeah.
That's why they say like if they don't find him in 48, it's because they give him a head start
So-
real quick.
According to their parole board, Henley and Brooks, they're up for parole. We're up for parole every 3 years, and every time Mr. and Mrs. Walter Scott's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Walter Scott, the parents of Mark Scott, would attend the hearing. They would attend every time just to make sure these assholes never got out of jail, and that was, of
Good.
course, until Brooks died. John Doe from 1973 had this written on his shirt. So if you guys know who this could be, or know relatives talking about a missing kid, on John Doe from 73, on the collar of his shirt, it said L and H and MF underneath where the tag would be. So if you know anybody who has a missing kid, an uncle, maybe a parent, a grandparent, or something that like a missing relative, they talk about that. Just mention that to them. Maybe they hadn't thought that, or spark some memory, and maybe we can figure out who John Doe from 73 is. There's also a picture from missingkids.org that you can go check out as well. Anyway, so that is the story of the real Candyman, the Pied Piper, Dean Corll. Decrepit, disgusting human being who died a way more polite death than he deserved.
Yeah.
He deserved to go out a lot harsher than he did.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That was something that he made it off so easily, like so easily.
And it's easy to look at, the other two guys, Brooks and freaking Henley, as just the bad guys. But keep in mind, they were kids, but they should have known better. I mean, I understand that fear can be a driving factor, but if you look at these victims of, adults that abuse children, you look at the kid from Disney, what was his name? Drake?
Can't remember which one it was.
Nickelodeon. Not Disney.
Nicola, whatever,
Oh,
it's the
Josh.
same thing.
Drake
Drake and
Josh.
Drake, yeah,
Drake
Drake.
Josh.
It was Josh. I
Drake
think,
Bell.
wasn't it? Drake Bell.
Drake
It was
Bell.
Drake Bell.
It
Drake
wasn't-
Bell,
no, 'cause
yeah.
the Josh.
Amanda
No, was it
Bynes.
Josh?
It was
No,
Drake.
it was Drake.
So Drake said that the
Drake
guy,
Bell got,
the
raped.
guy was like
Yeah.
insisting he would stay at his house and worked himself into his life to the point where he felt helpless to get away from them.
And he was raping him.
And if you look at that video of Puff Daddy and Justin Bieber, when Puff Daddy's confronting Justin Bieber, I don't know if we watched that when we covered our Puff Daddy stuff,
Dude, he's
which
I
we're
actually-
going to have to update.
After the whole P. Diddy thing, I actually feel really bad for Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
honestly.
Like, I
yeah.
didn't like him for a long
Yeah.
time, but after that, I'm like, I feel bad for him.
Yeah. But you see
I don't
this,
even want to know what he went through.
you see this video of them interacting, and it is mortifying. You can tell Justin Bieber
P.
is
Diddy and
not wanting to be there, that something
He's
is
really
horribly
uncomfortable.
wrong.
Yeah.
He does not like being next to
Horribly
him, man.
wrong.
And didn't he like buy him a car and like do
All
weird shit like that?
sorts
Well, it's not just that. Like there was
Yeah.
stories that when we were younger, when Justin Bieber came out, like everybody made fun of him, ha ha ha. But there was a story
Yeah.
that came out for like 1 minute and everybody completely ignored, which was the people who were producing him and stuff like that. His parents were giving him puberty blockers to keep his voice high
Really?
because that way he
Wow.
could continue to sing because they didn't know how his voice was going to turn out when he got
That's
older.
horrible.
Hey, you know who has 2 black thumbs, a bunch of Johnson & Johnson, and access to puberty blockers?
P. Diddy.
P Diddy.
I was gonna go me, but then I'm like,
I'm gonna
no,
say
ain't P.
right
Diddy,
now-
but I
I just
decided not
glad
to
P.
do that.
Diddy's in prison.
There's like a huge
Yeah.
the amount of people right
I
now.
hope he's getting backdoored so
Of,
hard
Oh,
right
me
of
now.
like
too.
celebrities and stuff like that have got to be scared of that shit right now.
Oh, dude, no, they're leaving the
Oh,
country.
for sure.
They're fleeing.
They're all part of the sex trafficking and all that.
The craziest thing, we're gonna see a lot more of this stuff come out. Just so you guys are aware, it's already started. There's already lists being released slowly and disseminated amongst people. And I don't know if you guys know this movement called QAnon, this conspiratorial movement that was back a ways, not to quote them, but one of their biggest thing was anti-pedo stuff. And they brought to light a lot of things that people were like, there's no way that's true. And Puff Daddy was one of the things they talked about the most, and people shoved it under the carpet.
But hold on. The reason that happened was because they also propagated Pizzagate.
Look, I know. I understand that. But you got to think. A lot of these guys are connected. The guys in Hollywood, a lot of these dudes are... There's a reason that Ricky Gervais went up there. And you could see a lot of those people shaking in their boots
like
and
Tom
being pissed
Hanks.
off. Because Ricky Gervais is saying you're all a bunch of pedos.
Yeah, Gervais went off, man.
And he's still recording stuff saying that. He's like, I wasn't joking.
You know,
it wasn't an act.
You know the thing
I
that
was
gets
telling
me though.
the truth.
Here's a connection though, because I will say that I can actually recognize why QAnon would have propagated Pizzagate though, because if you look at it, the story we just told, what was his front?
Candy
A
factory.
candy factory.
Yeah.
And what?
Well, it
did
wasn't a front.
And
He
he
actually
says
did it.
no. It might have been because you think about it. Who did he say he was connected to? A known organization that was sex trafficking young boys.
What better way to lure them into your van than candy?
Don't even need a van. You got a whole store.
Yeah, but think
Well,
about it.
that's
I
the whole,
never thought about that.
That's the whole luring kids into a van with candy.
Literally, that's what it is.
With treats or
And
whatever,
Dean Corley had
you
a
know?
white van that he would lure kids
Come,
into with
I got some candy.
dope,
You
though. But
If he
want to
was,
come to my van? I got some candy.
as far as I could tell, his business wasn't really failing or anything like that. Why did he leave?
it did fail. It did fail.
Did it fail?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it failed. It tanked. He was a terrible businessman.
Wouldn't show me.
His mother actually stopped talking to him completely because of that. Or didn't stop talking to him, but would never see him again because of that. She would talk
It's
to him on the
always
phone.
like
Always...
innocent things like candy. Oh, I'm looking for my dog. Or, I lost my cat.
Yeah.
Do you want to
or
help me come find my cat?
I broke my arm and I can't get this couch in
Yeah.
the back of my van. Can you help me, chubby girl? What size is your skin again? It puts the lotion on its skin. I love that movie.
No,
Anyway,
my point
folks.
is it's to lure the kids in. It's something innocent that they would,
I would definitely suggest though to anybody, go check out like missingkids.org and so like kids are missing kids sites and like support them as much as possible because you never know. It's a parent's worst nightmare. I'm a parent, and if someone were to take one of my kids, I would kill everyone that person ever knew just to get my kid back. And if I didn't, I'd kill their entire family while they watched, and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't want to be that person, as the moral of the story, who lost their kids. And you wouldn't either. I had a friend as a kid who went missing. We've never seen her again.
I'd rip off their lower jaw, reach down the cavity, tear their heart out, and crush it in front of their face.
Yeah, we could Mortal Kombat that all day, but that's not the point, guys. Get involved with helping these organizations out and keeping a keen eye. When you see an Amber Alert, don't just glance over it.
Look into it.
Yeah, because you could be
Yeah.
the person that sees a kid getting kidnapped and then just not have
Or
realized
you
you
could
weren't
be a
helping.
person that sees the kid
There's-
with some weird person
Yeah.
at the store, and it's not their parent.
That's the thing that
You
what you gotta to be aware of is there's a major do nothing attitude with society nowadays. Like there's literally stories like
It's not my business.
Some guy was getting beaten.
Yeah, I don't wanna
like
get
some woman
involved.
got beat to death in the middle in a neighborhood. Everybody could hear what was going on. People came outside. People filmed it. She just got beat to death in front of a house because nobody said, "Hey, I should probably step in."
This is one thing, like, I see these videos of people just recording violent crimes happening and no one
And
is
not
doing
doing
anything
anything about it.
That means
Yeah.
you are a piece of crap for not helping.
That
Just,
means
just in
you're
case
part
you
of the
wonder,
problem.
you're part of the problem. You're a
Yeah.
garbage person if you don't get involved. At least call the cops instead of trying to record it for your freaking social media. It's damaging everyone. Anyway, but keep an eye out for the kids, folks. We'll have something more spooky and paranormal in the next episode.
This
but
was a little serious.
this is a little crazy and creepy and, Candyman series. I was going to do like 2 or 3 more Candyman things. We get all 5 in.
Maybe
but
we
I'm
can
not,
find some kind of Thanksgiving, like, I don't know.
Thanksgiving.
We'll review
A Thanksgiving
paranormal.
We're gonna-
scary
we'll sit
Haunted
down and
story.
turkey.
We'll sit down and
Haunted
review
Foster Farms.
Thanksgiving for everyone.
No, we're not. I don't want to sit through that again. Please don't. I don't want to watch Thanksgiving again.
What's that?
It's so bad.
It's a terrible movie.
You'd like it.
There's
It's
a new
awful.
horror movie called Thanksgiving.
No, this thing's killing is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
About a demon-possessed turkey monster.
Oh my gosh.
A poultry on human scene is not
That
great.
sounds-
It's
Not
a poultry,
sexy.
guys.
On the same level of Sharknado.
No.
No.
Sharknado has some soul. Anyway, guys, I'm Jay, and these are...
Jack.
Katie Cat.
And, well, if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. Let us know what you think about Dean Corley in the comments using your playground words. We don't want to get in trouble
Yeah.
with YouTube.
Use the politest
words.
words you got.
Please give us a like, and we love you in the face. Tell your friends. We'll see you guys next time, and until then, I'm Jay, and like I said, these are them. And good night, and good nightmares.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.